G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for being here and watching my content. And 2024 has really just crept up on us really quickly. Six Nations is only 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away from February. We are on the road to Rugby World Cup 2027. And Six Nations will be the first major roadblock to that glorious tournament that's up ahead of us. And yes, the team has been announced. The Irish team has just been announced literally like an hour ago. And yes, the captaincy of the Ireland team obviously is the big question that everybody has been guessing. I guess not really that big of a surprise. It's Mr. Shit Richie, Peter Romani, infamously, I guess, calling Sam Kang Shit Richie. Oh, how dare you! So Peter Romani has been given the captaincy, but more importantly is the succession plans for the number 10 jersey, the coveted number 10 jersey that has been held firmly by Johnny Sexton in the past few years, and Ireland really wasn't looking like the same team without Johnny Sexton prior to his basically injury return in 2022, or was it 2021 now? It's been a few years now. Yeah, 2021, I think it was. And then, Ireland just has really just looked like a completely different team since that return of Johnny Sexton. And he's had a few trial replacements, I guess. We had Joey Carberry, who was looking pretty good. We have Billy Burns. Is it Burns or Burns? Billy Burns. I think it's Burns. Whose career ended in just about a weekend. And the number 10 jersey is currently pretty much firmly held by this guy. His name is Jack Crowley, right? And so with the announcement, some pretty interesting stuff. One of the more interesting stuff is the second number 10, the reserve fly half, is actually Harry Burns. I think Ross Burns injured. Is he injured? Harry Burns is Ross Burns' younger brother. So yeah, the older brother, there was a time period where Ross Burns was looking like gonna be the go-to guy to replace Johnny Sexton. Someone who also plays for Leinster, and someone who kind of, been trained to fulfill the same style that Johnny Sexton is kind of trying to bring to Ireland. To various degrees of success, and overall, I thought Ross Burns was a pretty stable, ticks all the boxes sort of fly half, and then his position was basically taken over by Crowley, who had a really stellar season in the URC, leading to winning that with Munster, and then just really showed a bit more spice as the number 10, something that I guess the Irish team is looking for. So is that gonna hold up against the Six Nations? Is that is that legacy Johnny Sexton left behind gonna be fulfilled? We're gonna have to wait and see. But the number 10 jersey is something that is really crucial for the Irish team. All the plays, all the momentum, all the direction is funneled through the 10 jersey. The leadership as well that Johnny Sexton brings is just so tremendously huge for Ireland. And there's no doubt Ireland would not be as I'll be very surprised if Ireland is as good as they were with Johnny. As good as they were last year with the Grand Slam. But we shall wait and see. I'll be very surprised if Ireland, perform to that same level as they did last year once again, without Johnny Sexton. So some typical names this from the Irish team: Ty Furlong, Finlay Bealham, Tom O'Toole, Ronan Keller, Dan Sheehan, Tom Stewart, Andrew Porter, Jeremy Lockman, Cian Healy, Ian Henderson, Ty Byrne, Joe McCarthy, James Ryan, Peter Romani, the captain, Josh van der Fleer, Keelan Doris, Jack Conan, Nick Timoni, Ryan Baird finished off the forwards, the backs, Jameson, Gibson Parks, Craig Casey, Conor Murray, Jack Crowley, Harry Byrne, Kieran Frawley, Robbie Henshaw, Bundy Aki, Gary Ringrose, Stuart McCloskey, Hugo Keenan, Jacob Stockdale returns to the team. He only had a trial match before the Rugby World Cup last year. He didn't have any time. He's been injured. And Jake Stockdale is not a big bad replacement as Andy Farrell, both of his starting wingers in the form of James Lowe and Matt Hansen have been injured. So Stockdale, James Lowe is not injured, sorry. What's his name? Matt Hansen is injured. There was another one, James Ryan is injured, I think it was. Is James Ryan injured? Or is he still in the team? No, James Ryan's here. But yeah, Stockdale has been brought in to replace Matt Hansen in the wing position, which is not that bad of a replacement, to be honest. He was a very prominent player for Ireland. I think he was involved in the team that beat the All Blacks the first time at Chicago. It's been very, very good for Ireland. And just, the injury has been holding him back a little bit. So good to see him return. Calvin Nash and Jordan Lama rounding up the last couple of places for the Irish team. So yes, that's a pretty good Irish team. But once again, without Johnny Sexton, how they're going to go, we're going to have to wait and see. Big news out of Wales. So obviously Wales was preparing to announce their Six Nation team as well. And the team announcement was delayed because Rees-Zammit pulled out of the team 1 hour before the announcement. And obviously he's a very prominent player for the Welsh team, and Warren Gatland no doubt had him on the list to be playing the Six Nations. Rees-Zammit immediately withdrawn to pursue a chance at the big money in America with the NFL international player pathway. So he will be going to Florida to be training in a 2-month camp. 10-week training camp. And by the end of it, he's basically going to be put up to be drafted, potentially by a team. If he doesn't get drafted, then he'll be back to play in the July Test series, I guess, back in playing the Wales, play rugby in Wales. So yeah, be interesting how he's going to be looked at by the American teams. So this has, obviously he plays a winger for Wales. I think that as a wide receiver comes to mind, a lot of people potentially a role, but I don't think that he's going to be good enough to be a wide receiver. But I think he might be a good kick receiver instead. So in NFL, when they do like kickoffs and stuff, when they couldn't make the downs, they do the kick the ball down the field. He could be some guy. He could be one of the players that kind of runs the ball back, catches one, runs the ball back. But I don't see him as a wide receiver, to be really honest, because the skill set is quite different there for the NFL wide receivers. That the range of motions, the way they move, the way they read the game is very, very in depth. So I just don't think somebody can just show up without any. Assume he has no prior professional experience with NFL to just cover the wide receiver position in the NFL level. But I think that a kick receiver, I think he could be pretty good at that. With a bit of footwork, he can actually be quite dangerous for in the NFL. So we'll have to see if he's going to make it in a couple months, or he's going to be back playing under Warren Gatland, back to his dad. And we'll see. But yeah, that has delayed the Welsh announcement a little bit. Warren Gatland basically came out and said it was a bit of a nightmare. Even his club didn't know that he was going to go. Before the day of the announcement, right? This was 24 hours ago or so. So even his own club didn't know until on the day that he was going to go to try out for NFL. Yeah, so that was left Warren Gatland scrambling a little bit for the last places. But yeah, Gatland has announced his team as well. A new captain, David Jenkins, has been announced as the captain. I'm very surprised that he was announced as captain. I thought for sure he would announce someone more experienced. I guess Gatland is building for the future, for real. And so let's have a look at this Welsh team. So forwards, Corey Domarkowski. I actually don't know this guy. Six caps. Kemsley Mathias, Gareth Thomas, Elliot D, Ryan Elias, Evan Lloyd, Kieran Asirati, Leon Brown, Archie Griffin, Adam Beard. I thought Adam Beard would probably go the captaincy, to be honest. David Jenkins, Will Rowlands, Teddy Williams, Tiem Basham, James Botha, Alex Mann, Mackenzie Martin, Tommy Raphael, Aaron Winwright. There's some pretty big names there that could potentially take in the captaincy, but yeah, interesting selection there. In the back line, Gareth Davies, Kieran Harley, Tomo Williams, Sam Costello. Sam Costello will be the fly half, I believe, replacing obviously, Dan Bigger. Costello has done pretty good, I think, for Wales. Costello, pretty decent goal kicker, something that kind of fits right into the Welsh game plan. K.E. Evans, Ian Lloyd, Mason Grady, George North, Joe Roberts, Nick Tompkins, Owen Watkins, Josh Adams, Rio Dyer, Tom Rogers, Cameron Winnett, running up the last of the backline. So there's no Anscombe. I'm pretty sure he's injured a little bit. He was signed to play in Japan, and then his injury led him to actually getting dropped from his contract. So he's currently unemployed, just nursing his injury at home. So yeah, Costello will be just taking charge of the team in the playmaking. So yeah, we'll see how they go. This is a pretty fresh, quite a few new players for the Welsh team. But Warren Gatland actually rebuilding for Wales, and we'll just see how they go. They're also missing, what's his name? Halfpenny is playing in New Zealand now, and I think he's retired from international tests as well. So yeah, quite a few big names has left the camp. And and Rees-Zammit going is a pretty big loss for them as well. France has also announced a new captain. Gregory Aldred has been announced as the new captain for the French team. Antoine Dupont obviously going to play in the sevens in the Olympics, chasing the gold. And he will be leaving the team. He won't be part of the Six Nations for the French side. So yeah, let's have a look at the French team that's been selected. So I don't know why they put the last name first, but Esteban Abadier, Dorian Aldrich, Aldegheri, Gregory Aldred, Uni Antonio has returned from retirement. Obviously, the best tight head prop in the world right now. And I was actually really disappointed that he was going to retire. I thought he was hitting his prime. He looked a lot better in 2003 than he was in 2002. So he was definitely picking, both physically and fitness wise as well. So I was really disappointed that he announced the retirement, and I'm really glad that he's back. I mean, he's absolutely he is the best in the world right now in that tight head position. So good in the scrummaging. Sarah Bai for the loose head position. Gaëtan Barlot, Paul Bodenhent, Francois Croix, Paul Gabrielagus, Matthias Halagahu. I mean, putting the name in capital letters makes it even harder to read. Anthony Jalok, Thomas Laclayat, Julian Maconde, Padel Movaka, Emmanuel Methol, Charles Olivon. So I was actually surprised that Charles, I think it's pronounced Charles Olivon, is not captain, because he was previously the captain before Anton Dupont took over, and then he had a knee injury which saw him out of action for 9 months or something. And I was surprised that he's not actually just given back the captaincy, because I thought he was a great captain. France had a lot of dominance when he was the captain. So yeah, I thought it was a little bit surprised that they announced a new captain, because in my mind, the captaincy should default back to Charles Olivon. But yeah, another big surprise for me as well is Romain Taufifenua. I thought he retired as well, and he's back. Added, I probably didn't want to retire in such a sour note. On the losing the rugby. I'm pretty sure he announced his retirement as well, but he's back. Again, he's just one of the massive dudes coming off the bench for the French team, as a finisher. Huge impact player off the bench. And the next guy up, Sebastian Taufifenua, Reda Vardy, and then finally Cameron Wolke, one of my favorite players from the French team. In the back line, Louis Bieri, Jonathan Danty, Nicolas Deporteri, Gael Ficou, Emilian Galiton, Antoine Gibert, Matthew Jalibert, Melvin Jaminet, Nolan Legarec, Mattis Lubel, Maxime Luku, Yoram Moefana, Damien Penold, Thomas Ramos. I think there was some speculations that what's his name was going to return. The fly half. What was his name? Entimac was going to come back, but not selected. Still not quite there yet. There was some talks that he was going to be good enough to return in February, but apparently he's not quite there for the French team yet. So yeah, we should see how that go. For the French side, very strong team, very much the same, except for without Antoine Dupont. Again, kind of like in the same conundrum that Ireland is in, that the French team is missing their key playmaker, because the French basically funnels all of their playmaking out of the 9 position instead of the 10. The classic French flair from Fabien Galtier. So we shall see how that goes and how that's gonna work out for the French without Antoine Dupont. Again, another big question mark whether or not they're gonna perform in that same level as we saw last year. Is the French team. So England has announced a new captain as well, with obviously Owen Farrell has decided to take time off from international test matches and prodding an opportunity in France with Racing 92. So with that, keeping Owen Farrell busy, a new captain has been announced, Jamie George. One of my favorite players of all time, Jamie George. I think he's just so underrated, and I think he's just so good. He always plays hard, and I'm a big fan of Jamie George and does everything exceptionally well for his team. And it's good to see that he gets that recognition as the captaincy for the England side. And so with that being said, let's have a look. Oh yeah, so Mako Vinopola was not selected in the team. He has announced his retirement from international tests. So the England team is announced as well. So let's just quickly go through them. In the forwards, Ollie Chesham, Dan Cole. England does have a little bit of loose forward injury issues as well, with the Mako Vinopola retiring. And I think, what's his name? The Mohawk, Joe Mala, has a bit of injury as well, but he's selected in the team, so we'll just see how that's going to carry out for England's side. Ollie Chesham is coming for England. Dan Cole, Alex Coles, Luke Cowan-Dickie, Chandler Cunningham South, Ben Curry, Theo Dan. There was a time where Luke Cowan-Dickie looked like he's just going to keeping Jamie George to the side, but I think Bothwell has selected Jamie George as the captain, meaning that he's going to be starting ahead of Cowan-Dickie, who's Eddie Jones' favorite starting hooker for England for quite some time. Ben Curry, Theo Dan, Alex Don Brandt returns. Ben Earl, Ellis Gench, Jamie George. Don Brandt is someone that I felt like really hasn't risen to the level of the England team yet. He's been really good in the Premiership, but just not quite there at the national test level. Jamie George, Joe Hayes, Nick Izevic returns for the lock position. Mauro Itoje, Joe Mala, Benno Obano, Tom Pearson, Ethan Roots, Will Stewart, Sam Underhill. In the backline, Oscar Beard, Danny Kerr, Elliot Daly, Fraser Dingwall, Emmanuel Fei Waboso, George Ford, with obviously Owen Farrell out of the picture in the 10 jersey, or 12 jersey in that fact. George Ford and Marcus Smith will be contending for that 10 jersey, and yeah, I don't know how they're going to go. I think they might opt for Marcus Smith in the starting position because he's been doing quite well in the Premiership these days. And George Ford has been a little bit on the low side, I guess, in the Premiership compared to Marcus Smith. So I think, yeah, the 10 jersey would just go straight to Marcus Smith at 10. But then Bothwick has played Marcus Smith in the fullback, so who knows? He might start George Ford at 10 and have Marcus Smith starting at 15. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Big question marks there as well for England's side as the 10 jersey. I thought George Ford's performance against Argentina in the Rugby World Cup in the pool stage, that was the best Englishman performance since Johnny Wilkinson in 2003. That was absolutely unbelievable, absolutely clinical, like just beautiful rugby. Like it was immaculate, just insane. And he hasn't really delivered to that level since then. So we'll have to see what form he is in going to the Six Nations, and if Bothwick favors him ahead of Marcus Smith in the starting position. Tommy Freeman, George Furbank, Ollie Lawrence, Alex Mitchell, Tom Rubuck, Henry Slade is back in the team. Finn Smith, Marcus Smith, Ben Spencer, and Freddie Stewart finishing off in the England squad. Next up, we've got the Scotland team. The Scottish team is looking quite, quite consistent, I guess, from the Rugby World Cup coming to that teams. There's no missing fly halves for the Scottish team. In the sense that Finn Russell is still a critical player fulfilling his role for Scotland. So I really think that probably in terms of consistency, the Scotland might have a really good chance this year because, if you look at it, England without Owen Farrell, France without Antoine Dupont, who is a playmaker, Ireland without Johnny Sexton, Wales without anybody, really, and then without Dan Biggers, and they really didn't have a playmaker. So if the Scotland is the only one that really has a world-class playmaker that's kind of like consistently been playing with the team. So Scotland might have a outside chance, I guess a good chance this year to make a name for themselves. So yeah, let's have a look at the Scottish team. Ewan Ashman, Josh Bayliss, Jamie Barty, Andy Christie, Luke Crosby, Scott Cummins, Jack Dempsey, Rory Darge, Grant Gilchrist, Richie Gray, Matt Fagerson, Xander Fagerson, the brothers, Alec Hepburn, Will Hurd, Johnny Matthews, Willem Nell, Jamie Ritchie, Pierre Schoeman, Sam Skinner, George Turner, Glenn Young. In the backline, Adam Hastings, Ben Healy, George Horn, Darcy Graham, Rory Hutchinson, Hugh Jones, Blair Kinghorn, Stafford McDowell, Harry Patterson, Ali Price, Cameron Redpath, Aaron Reed, Kyle Rowe, Finn Russell, Carl Stain, Sione Tuipulotu, Duhan van der Merwe, and then Ben White. So yeah, this Scotland team is very consistent of their team since the World Cup, and I actually think that the Scottish team might have a really good chance this year to win it all. Really, to win it all. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited once again to watch Scotland play rugby. We'll have to see. And then yes, the Italian team. Who cares? The shitters go away. And then moving on, the Lions Tour has made a big announcement this week as well. The man himself, Andy Farrell, Coach of the Year, I think it was, has been named the Lions Tour head coach. He's actually Eddie Jones' suggestion as well, because there was some talks initially that Eddie Jones was going to be the Lions coach, and Eddie Jones was like, nah, it's better for someone like Andy Farrell, who's kind of like grew up in the system to take the role. And sure enough, Andy Farrell has taken the role. He has already been assistant coach for the Lions Tour in the past. He's the most successful coach in the British Isles, I guess, British and Irish Isles at the moment. I guess the only coach in Northern Hemisphere that could be better than him is Fabien Galtier, but I don't think he's qualified to coach a Lions Tour, right? Plus, I guess language barrier will be a bit of an issue, and then you can read his resume here, but he's quite impressive. Beating New Zealand in a series as well. I think one of the I don't know if any other Northern team has ever done it before. And then so this will be an easy trip for him to come to Australia. They're not going to New Zealand. They're going to Australia. Coming to Australia, so it'd be an easy 3-0. It'd be like easy 3-0 for the Lions, I guess. Yeah. So yes, with that being said, there was a little bit of interesting take as well that the Owen Farrell, despite there was some talks that he could be going to Rugby 92, he's still going to be available to be selected for the Lions Tour next year if he does go to Rugby 92. So just because of the fact that they've selected Finn Russell in the past, who plays for Rugby 92, it's not like the Premiership where you have to be based in England to be selected, as long as you're like, I guess, Englishmen, English, you're British and Irish. I guess you're as long as you're British, holds a British passport, British or Irish passport. I guess you're qualified, or I guess something like that. So yeah, Owen Farrell will be available for selection by his dad. Yes, Owen Farrell still available for selection by his dad. But anyway, the Six Nations will be using smart Nautica technology to track concussions. Moving on from that. And also there was a big announcement that with the women's Lions tour will happen in 2027. And this Lions tour will be going to New Zealand. And so first of all, it's in the same year as the Rugby World Cup in Australia. But somehow this is going to go to New Zealand. So I don't know. I get it if you try to put it in the same year as the Men's Rugby World Cup to get the momentum, to get the hype going. But why would you put it in New Zealand and not in Australia to just capture the audience that is going to be there anyway, right? Like, I thought this bit of a missed opportunity because I just don't see people after spending all their money in Australia, it's gonna travel over to New Zealand for another or whichever way it is. People are not gonna travel to two different countries over because the Lions tour is going to go for another month. The Rugby World Cup is going to go for 2 months. No one's going to be spending 3 months overseas, right? I mean, you're going to have to be you're going to have some extremely rich and then extremely lenient work schedule to be able to be away for 3 months, travel 2 different countries watching rugby, right? I just don't know why they come up to that conclusion. But if you have everything in one country, it's more likely people are going to stay around to watch that. So yeah, I don't know how this is going to go, but it's going to be the first ever British and Irish Lions tour, women's one, going to New Zealand. So Stuart Lancaster has revealed, there was a lot of talks about Owen Farrell going to Rugby 92. Stuart Lancaster has revealed that he has been considering Owen Farrell, and he has spoken to Owen Farrell about it potentially. And it would be interesting to see that if Owen actually go to Rugby 92 because of Stuart Lancaster. And Stuart Lancaster did say that it is going to be his decision if Owen Farrell is going to be part of the team or not. He's looking to build the team up to a more competitive level at Rugby 92. So yes, it's been confirmed that Owen's definitely having conversations there. Moving on, another legend has signed an extension to his career. We've heard Matt Giddo has signed an extension with, ironically, the same club. So Ma Nonu has signed an extension with Major League Rugby's San Diego Legions. And this is just, basically after Matt Giddo signed an extension as well, after retirement, coming out of retirement as well. So Ma Nonu will be 41 and he's going to be 42 mid-season. So yeah, he's turning into Tom Brady, but not quite. If he somehow returns to play for the All Blacks, that'll be Tom Brady. But playing rugby at 41, still 41, 42, very, very impressive. Ma Nonu, one of the greatest of all time. So finally, Dupont has been slammed by the official head of the World Rugby, head of match officials, Joel Judge. What a name. Joe Judge has been Jutge, Judge. Anyway, so he's being slammed by him for obviously making those comments after the Rugby World Cup. I'm still surprised that he's not fined because pretty much everybody gets fined for making the comments anywhere similar to that about the referee. So I'm surprised that it's still not fined, but the head of match officials from World Rugby has come out and stated that this is a pretty poor form from Antoine Dupont. Next up, Japan has a schedule announced for Eddie Jones to lose every match, I guess. So the Japan schedule has been set for 2024. It's going to be playing England, Maori All Blacks twice, and then Georgia and Italy. So I guess they have a couple low balls for Eddie Jones to not finish the year on all losses with Georgia and Italy. But we'll have to see. That's not an easy game. Georgia and Italy are not easy game, not easy team. I think Georgia especially, considering I think Georgia had a talk with Eddie Jones about potentially coming in as the coach, and then Eddie Jones just went, yeah, I'm going to do it, and then just use that as leverage to get the job in Japan, essentially. So I think Georgia's have a bit of a gripe there against Eddie Jones in Japan as well, which I'll wait and see. I mean, it's Eddie Jones, right? Next up, the Scottish Rugby CEO Mark Dotson has stepped down. Okay. And then next up, oh yeah, Michael Hooper. So I was actually thinking about this a lot recently. Hooper is one of my favorite players. In fact, yeah, one of my favorite players of all time. And I'm still waiting for him to return to play Union, to play the 15s game. But yes, before I get teary and emotional thinking about Michael Hooper and all the good times for me, his debut was touted to be at Perth, the Perth Sevens tournament, but he's gonna miss out that tournament. Just the coach thinks that he's not quite ready to be there. Yeah, I mean sevens. I've played sevens, before. It's a completely different game. It's very, very like burst, quite a lot of burst speed, and I just don't know. I was thinking about this. I just don't know if Michael Hooper is actually gonna make the team. Like he's not a bursty, fast kind of guy. I mean, he's very fit, very durable, very good endurance. Got some good, decent speed, but compared to like the speed that is required to go against a professional sevens player, I just don't know if he's quite there, to be honest. Yeah, I was thinking about this like the other day. I was like, is he actually going to be selected? And sure enough, the coaches came out and said that it's not quite the time yet, like in a very nice way, not quite ready to debut for the sevens tournament yet. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like he might go to the Olympics and not play any games at all because he's just not quite fit enough or quite fast enough, to be honest. I think he's definitely gonna be fit enough. He's probably just not gonna be fast enough. So yeah, we shall see. Keep an eye on that. And finally this last bit of news before we end this report. And yes, so the so in England they're trying to bring out basically a B division for the England Premiership rugby, like the club rugby. So it's interesting how there's already a B division called the Champions League or Champions Cup, whatever it's called, championship called the Championship clubs. That's already the B League, right? So the top of the championship clubs has an opportunity to advance into the Premiership, right? So that's basically like how it worked. And then they're talking about bringing another intermediate B division between the two levels called basically the Premiership 2 or something, Premiership 2. So, and that Premiership 2 is going to include essentially the clubs that went bankrupt, the Worcester Warriors potentially, the Wasps definitely, and then the the London Irish, and then also there was another one that the Reds, the Reeds or whatever the team was. What was the name? Jersey Reds. Yeah, so these teams are gonna be in there in the Premiership B division, on top of the champions, the championship, on top of the championship. So then that they kind of from my understanding that currently the teams in the championship can't advance, despite the fact that being on the top of the league cannot advance into the Premiership due to like financial requirements by the Premiership. Like for example, one of the teams could not go up because their stadium did not meet the minimum capacity of 10,000 people. Like the stadium was too small eventually, so they just financially are not able to bridge the gap between the Premiership and the Championship levels. So a lot of teams just couldn't go up to the Premiership level because of the barriers that exist between the two tiers. And as a result, the RFU has basically come out and obviously trying to salvage and save the clubs that were bankrupt, come out and try to bring into this Premiership Tier 2 to go between the two levels so that the Championship club can transition kind of up into the Premiership level via Premiership 2, and the club that went bankrupt can get themselves up there as well. So obviously this has led to a lot of the clubs not happy because facing the prospect of being in the Premiership 2 or technically a relegation, so they're not really happy about that. And there was also talk about the restriction of number of players that is allowed to be carried by a squad as well, so that the talent gets trickled down into this so-called Premiership 2 division as well. So a lot of that stuff is making the clubs uncomfortable. There has been a there has been basically like a letter sent out to the RFU to talk about how this is gonna work, and then basically they're just like, we're not happy in this. We don't want to just be relegated because you know we don't want to just be relegated, you know, because you wanted to fill out the second tier, and then they're just and then they basically have put in the request, and the RFU hasn't replied, so they've put on like a official statement to try to set a date to get an urgent date to get a reply from the RFU of how this is going to function. And from my understanding is that the clubs are not really liking this idea at all, which is understandable. And I think that's how this is going to work, because it didn't really make any sense to me. Like, why would you have Premiership 2 when you've already got like the championship like below it? So they already got a B division. But my understanding is that the Premiership 2 is there to kind of help the team bridge up into the Premiership level, as well as having, I guess, the Premiership trickling down some of the extra talent to support the clubs that went bankrupt, to give them a chance to get back into the Premiership, essentially. But obviously the clubs at the top don't really want to do that. Essentially, like, why would I, you know, support this by, you know, damaging my own team's performance, essentially, by, you know, thinning out my squad. So there's a bit of a let me know if I got this wrong, because that's my understanding, by the way. So let me know if you know this better, if you have better understanding of this. But that's my TLDR, and I apologize if I didn't explain that properly, but that's to my best understanding of what is happening there. So anyway, let me know your thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Can't wait for the Six Nations to start. We'll be doing previews and reviews, as always, for the Six Nations, especially the Scottish team. And yes, thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next week, and have a good weekend. Cheers.